What's up, guys? Appreciate you for your patience. Chuck Silver, this is DFS Jayhawk. We're here with Occupy Fantasy. Happy Saturday. We're going to bring you some strategy for DraftKings and FanDuel. On DraftKings, we have a tight little four-gamer. They cut off the 7 p.m. game if you're on the West Coast. And FanDuel, they do have that Denver-Sacramento game. We see Jokic at the top of the model, but over on DraftKings, looks like Jalen Johnson, Josh Giddey day again. So hopefully they actually get there. Jayhawk, how are we doing?
Yeah, man. Fun slate we got have tonight. We were just talking pre-stream. Very disappointing slate yesterday, but yeah, looking to bounce back here and let's get this slate right here.
Yeah, man, I had all the Vucevic, like every top pro had all the Vucevic yesterday, and that's what I asked myself before the slate. Am I likely to see all the top pros after I look at their exposures, once the slate locks? Are most of them going to have 95, 100% Vucevic? And the answer was yeah, they all did. So don't think of it was a mistake if you got burned by that. He's usually a good fantasy producer. He rated out excellent in every metric. I don't think he got the minutes that we were hoping for, and he just played really, really bad. So that ended up sucking, but that's something to think about with these like 100% locks that have popped up a few times. I was talking about it with Smitty last night. How many of them have actually worked out? And so I think we just want to be careful with some of our exposures. I used to cap everyone at 70 no matter what. I've been a little, I haven't been doing that. I've been allowing people 100% like Vucevic, but don't think of it as a mistake. Just, consider spreading it out a little bit when we have other, good chalk when it's not great players popping up.
100%. I like that rule a lot.
Yeah, Luke, Heath, HB, Lewis, Rear, Claire, Barry, DePrince, Greg. Appreciate all of you guys being here. 3K Jaden Ivey. Oh man, did you have a quick thought on that, Jayok?
Yeah, so he was questionable coming in. He is 3K flat though in DK. If he does play, model has him for 17 minutes. I mean, not a ton of minutes, but it's kind of like, I guess not exactly like Tyson because Tyson played like 25 minutes, but 20 minutes, maybe you can get there. I didn't personally love it, but what's your thoughts?
Jaden Ivey. I have about 10% in my exposures on DraftKings, so I'm double the field. I have him
Yeah.
projected for like 16 fantasy points today. So it's not great. Other sites have him projected for more, so I actually would not be surprised if he came in. Don't think you're getting $3,000 Jaden Ivey at 5%. He's probably going to come in at least 10% tonight. The model is saying he's a good play, though, projected for only 17 minutes. How many minutes do I have him for? I gotta have him around there. But the point is, like, if he plays, 20 plus minutes, he's gonna look pretty good. Yeah, I have him for this 17 minutes too. So if he gets maybe 21, 22, that could be all right. I don't think this is someone we want to super focus on, but it's someone who, like, if I'm hand building a lineup, I think it makes sense to start with him and just see what you can do.
Yeah, I like it. 17's it's okay projection for it.
Yeah, it's just, if he plays 17, we're probably not thrilled. But I mean, I know he's coming back from injury, but he does have the potential to play over 20. Aside from Joker, who's the highest projected big for FanDuel, let's take a look. Just center. We'll do just center because Derek Queen is going to be in like everything today. This dude, I can't believe he didn't get a triple double. He only had 7 rebounds or 8 rebounds, whatever it was. He had 11 assists, but couldn't get the T dub. But Derek Queen looks like the top play over on FanDuel. 9.4 OF index is kind of insane for his price. He's going to be a top play on DraftKings too. Much lower owned on FanDuel. We can get there. And then as for the like payups, Jokic is in a class of his own. We got Cat, Jalen Duren, Zubac. Aldama's above Vucevic. That's something to think about. What do you think about this, Jayhawk?
Yeah, I think Santi, looks great both sides. I think Cat's actually playing right now. I think the game started like 5
Oh,
Eastern.
you're absolutely right. Yeah, we got a bunch of notifications on the Knicks actually. Yeah, so well, you asked for FanDuel main. So Jokic, Duren. There's really no other payups that we're really looking at today or that are even available.
Yeah, and Sar is questionable too, right? So we gotta wait on his.
Yeah, we got to see with Sar. Are we going right back to Vucevic? I just did a
Man,
whole rant about how we got to be careful with these guys, but
it's I feel like you have to have like very little bias because everyone's gonna have the same thought like last year. He burned everyone. I kind of like your rule. I wouldn't go like all in at 100%, but if Sar does miss and Bagley misses, we're gonna have a lot of Vuk again. I think.
yeah. So the way I would look at this is assuming Sar's out and Vucevic starts again. Everyone in the industry had him projected pretty well yesterday. I imagine most of them are going to adjust the rates, so he's not going to be projected as well. We really need to see what the projected ownership comes in at, though, because if he comes in pretty low owned and Sar is out and Vucevic is starting, like his price came up slightly on DK. I think it came up slightly on FanDuel too. I'm going right back there. I'm not going to have 100%, but I want to see what the ownership comes in if Sar is rolled out, and I'm definitely going to be interested in Vucevic again.
For sure, yeah.
And yeah, you only play one lineup. It's really tough to fade the best play on the slate if you're only playing one lineup. It's a big risk. And so it's just, what's your risk tolerance and, evaluating whether this chalk is actually good chalk or not. Is Dyson Daniels going to go off against his former team, Jayhawk?
Man, potentially. Definitely on FanDuel, he has a better chance with the stock upside. But it's a great matchup. I mean, pretty much anyone against New Orleans I'd be great with or happy with.
Yeah, let's talk about this game. It's the first one at lock, the only one at lock. The rest of the games are a little bit later. But Hawks Pelicans, we have a 9.5 point spread in the Hawks' favor. Apparently, they're better without Trae Young. Did you hear?
I mean, they looked great, man.
Yeah, so Jalen Johnson's going to be the top overall play by OF Index. Let me just show you. So this is FanDuel main. It's Jokic, Jalen Johnson, Josh Giddey, there's like kind of some separation between these guys. I know it's only two, but that's kind of significant when we're getting into the teens for OF Index. And then for DK main, Jalen Johnson is just the top play on the slate. So he's projected for heavy ownership. He's very expensive. I think we have enough value that we don't have to play bad players to fit in Jalen Johnson. I think he's a great play. I'm playing a ton on both sites. What about you?
Yeah, love Jalen Johnson. I mean, he's been a great play the past couple slates. Fantastic matchup. Yeah, no issues there at all.
I just said I'm going to be careful about jamming in guys. I have like 80% Jalen on DraftKings right now. I didn't quite get there on FanDuel, but I have a ton of Jokic, so I imagine that is bringing down my Jalen Johnson exposure. I only have about 20% over there, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to bump that up. I mean, he's a great play. What else did you want to take a look at in Atlanta? I know you mentioned Dyson Daniels is pretty good on FanDuel, but are we like going to chase Nah a little bit? And
yeah, so I think Nah is fine. The model does really like him. The model has really liked Nah the past few slates. I'd be fine getting there, sub 15%. The guy I want to hear your thoughts on here is two guys, Kristaps and Risa. Kristaps super chalky on both sides. I think he's interesting. Obviously, I'd rather get to Jalen, but Risa 5%. What are your thoughts there?
you know that I'm never really into Porzingis. I will mention the model a lot of the time isn't into him either, but the model's pretty into him today. Excuse me. If we sort just by DK value overall on the slate, Porzingis is in the top 10 right now. And like a couple of these Hawks are Nah, Jalen Johnson, Mohamed Gaye, Risa Krejci. So Hawks are a team that we can look to for value and payups. I mean, Porzingis at 21% on DraftKings, I'm with the field, and over on FanDuel, I'm a little under the field. But the model's telling us he's a fine play. Once Porzingis starts getting into this mid 6K range, I think he's a lot more appealing. And New Orleans isn't like exactly a tough matchup.
Agreed.
As for Nah, he's only projected for 14 and 17% ownership, and he's the fourth overall value play over on DraftKings, and on FanDuel he's also fourth overall. So this is a spot that the model's really telling us we can kind of get over the field. I know it's a little uncomfortable, and I myself have talked about how I question his ceiling. But I mean, dude put up like 50 yesterday. He's put up 40 before the season. He's actually pretty consistently above 30. So I think Nah is a fine play today. Interesting to see Vit Krejci this high on FanDuel though at that 4K flat, 7% owned. You can I think you can get a little bit over this. Not a guy we want to jam though.
Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. I think both Risa and Krejci you can go over way too a little bit.
Yeah, Risa is fine. Model likes his value. He's pretty cheap on both sites. Again, sub 10% ownership. He had a nasty fall, but he's been questionable for the last couple games, so it couldn't have been too serious. And if he plays, I think we just assume he's going to run the 25 minutes that he usually does. Looking at the New Orleans side, yeah, Derek Queen, one of the top plays on the slate on both sites. Same with Jeremiah Fears. They both went off yesterday. Those were the tournament winners if you got there. They're mega chalk today, though. How do you want to handle this chalk?
Yeah, so this is kind of the chalk I'm pretty comfortable eating. Obviously, Derek Queen, his price keeps going down for some reason. Center only on DK tonight, but I think he looks phenomenal. And then Fears, yeah, you mentioned it, coming off a huge game. sub 5K. I think he's a great play as well. So this is the chalk I'm kind of eating. How about you?
Yeah, I'm playing, it looks like all the queen on DraftKings and then a ton of fears as well. What is fears at 45 on DK? I'm over on both of these guys on DraftKings and on FanDuel. I'm double the field on Derek Queen, not quite double the field on fears, but playing a ton of them. And I know I was talking about like being careful with your exposures, but Jayhawk mentioned like this is good chalk that we're willing to eat. There's been something weird with Jeremiah Fears minutes. Was on a little bit of a soft minutes cap. Is he still there? He got over 30 minutes, so that's encouraging. I know it's a back-to-back, so maybe he won't play 30 in the back-to-back. What do we have him for? 28.6. So at 28.6 minutes, the model still thinks he's one of the top values. If he ends up getting over 30, he's going to look even better. If you were to fade one of these, Jayhawk, who would you rather get away from?
Between Queen and Fears,
Yeah,
I would probably say Fears, but just
I
because
agree.
his minutes are a little bit more unstable.
Yeah, I agree. And not only are the minutes unstable, but just think about the way that they score fantasy points. Like Derek Queen only had 7 rebounds yesterday, and he got there. Yeah, he had to score a ton of points, but like he's really filling up the stat sheet. While Fears, like he kind of is too. We need more assists. If the rebounds aren't there and he's not scoring points, though, this could be an easy, like chalk failing spot. You know, it's not going to destroy your lineup, but you're probably not going to take down a tournament if he only puts up these 25 scores. I think you play this guy for the potential that he puts up 40, but when he's chalk like this, it's a little bit scarier versus a guy like Derek Queen. Let me just pull up his stat lines because this guy's been kind of insane. 39 and 4, 27 and 11. Like if he gets an extra block or steal, he would have smashed even harder yesterday. Yeah, I'm a lot more comfortable playing all the Queen than I am all the Fears.
Agreed. Yeah, Derek Queen's really been stuffing the stat sheet. I love him. Obviously, we love him tonight.
What else do you want to look at on New Orleans? I saw Sadiq Bey was pulling quite a bit of ownership, and then Trey Murphy. I didn't really get there. I'm not sure what the field was. Like the industry projection for him must be so high today because 35% on DK is kind of healthy.
Yeah, Trey Murphy, I'm kind of with you. Obviously, we mentioned Johnson and Giddy up top, kind of just getting pinched on Murphy here for me, just at 7K. So I think he's fine. I would prefer getting to the value guys. And then in terms of, two guys, Missy and Sadiq Bey. Sadiq was kind of my preferred value play, but I don't necessarily love Sadiq Bey here. So I'm kind of neutral on Sadiq here.
Yeah, Sadiq Bey at 4,500 is pretty interesting on DraftKings. 4,700. He's only 14% owned. I'm getting there on DraftKings. I'm a little bit under the field, and it looks like on FanDuel I'm slightly over this 14%. So I don't know. I'm not like super high or low on him. I lean bearish in general on Sadiq Bey, but today his salary just fits lineups. And as for Trey Murphy, if he was a little bit lower owned, I'd be kind of interested as like a kind of a weird pivot off of Jeremiah Fears. But I don't know. At this ownership, I'm having a tough time getting to that DraftKings ownership, and even on FanDuel, I didn't get any at all.
Do you have any love for Alvarado down here? Maybe as a pivot to, I guess, Fears?
Alvarado. I always consider him every day, but today he did not make my exposures actually. That is an interesting call though. 6% owned at 3,600 versus Jeremiah Fears 45%. We're saving 1,200. Like, the model, this 13.7 number for DK value, it's still a decent number. When we're looking at just let's filter this to players under 5K. We'll do 5,100. Alvarado doesn't look awful. There's a few guys above him, but I could be more interested in Alvarado than a couple of these guys on this list. Missy, Krejci.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll get there a ton, but I was just thinking maybe in some lineups as a pivot to Fears.
No, I think that's a good way to look at it. Like when you can find the pivots to the maybe questionable-ish chalk every day. I think it's something you got to consider. So spent a lot of time on that game. I think it's probably the most important game on the slate. So it's fine. But we'll talk about the Wizards and Bulls. Let's start with the Bulls. So Josh Giddey was mega chalk yesterday. He's mega chalk again today. I'm playing all the Josh Giddey. Are you going right back?
Yeah, man. It goes from one great matchup to another great matchup. Yeah, I love Giddy top pair for sure.
I will mention, like, Giddy was on his way to failing really hard if yesterday wasn't an NBA Cup day, because Giddy got that blowout run when his team was down massive. Usually he'd be on the bench, but the Bulls care about the point differential. Today is not an NBA Cup day, but the fear is in Chicago blowing out Washington. We are at a 13-point spread. I usually call about 15 points where we start worrying about blowout. So it's something to consider. How much are you docking Giddy at all, or are you trying to be careful with your exposures because of the blowout risk?
I thought about it, but I don't know, man. I think this line is probably still okay to get to him. So I'm probably not going to dock anything personally.
Okay, nice. Herb Jones just got ruled out. Someone is saying that Sar is in. Let's confirm that. Talk to me about the rest of this team, though, while I check that out. Chicago.
Yeah, so Kobe White was the other questionable tag. I'm not sure if we got that news yet, but I think overall here, Ayo Dosunmu looks the best for me. 5,100, 4,800. Just really like the price points here. Another guy you could probably pivot off of Fears if you don't like him there. And then I think Nikola Vucevic, 8K, 7,200. Very good game environment, very fast tempo here. I'd be totally fine getting there as well. So those are kind of the third guys I was looking at.
I did forget to mention Okongwu's out for Atlanta. That's why we were talking about Porzingis a little bit more. But yeah, I'm with you on the tournament plays here. It's pretty much Josh Giddey and everyone else. Dosunmu looks pretty good in the model. I was pretty interested in Dosunmu yesterday. He ended up getting there in that blowout run, so maybe he can get there without blowout run today. We'll talk about Ivy a little more when we get to Detroit in the next game, but let's go to the Washington side. I'm not seeing Sar ruled in though. Did you see anything about that being confirmed, Jay?
I didn't see that on Underdog. No, not yet.
I think he's still questionable until I see that Underdog notification. If you have a link to someone official putting Sar in, go ahead and throw that in the chat. Sar in, Bagley out. So two people said Sar in, but oh, okay. So he's just in then. Never mind. So we're good. Sorry about that. Tell me about the rest of Washington. So Sar's in. We're not really interested in Vucevic today. I guess we could if you're like a super sick. If you're super sick and playing a ton of lineups, you could get a couple percent. But Sar, Koulibaly, I think CJ's probably fine. And then Keyshawn George burned the world yesterday. I'm not against going back to him.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say, Chuck. Keyshawn George, 6,300, burned me yesterday. He was in my corn Discord. I'm going right back, man. Another great matchup. I know it's a 13-point spread, but this is a guy that's flashed 40-point fantasy ceilings. So I love Keyshawn once again. And then with Sar in, I think he's fine both sides. I guess I want to touch on him with you as well. But yeah, I think Sar's fine. And then CJ McCollum, 59, 5,800. I guess I'm just neutral there. I don't love the spot. So it's probably just Keyshawn and Sar here for me.
Yep. Want to get back to Keyshawn. It's a great matchup. I mean, if we were interested in him yesterday, we should be interested in him today. I noticed he played the entire first quarter, even though he was playing awful. Maybe that, rotation changes slightly on a back-to-back, but that he was not doing well, and the coach kept him on the court for the whole first quarter, and I think he checked in like 5 minutes into the second quarter, so he was in line for massive minutes. I don't know. He's projected for 31. It's kind of hard to project him for a little bit more because then you end up with a little bit too much in your exposures. But I think Keyshawn looks great. I think Bilal looks great. I'm interested in Champagne too as kind of a, value GPP play at only 3,100 on DraftKings. I think that he works a lot. I'm actually getting a ton of him as one of my top value plays today.
Yeah, didn't he start over Vuk as well last game in the second half? I think he did.
Okay, nice. Yeah, so that's just another bump up for him. And we only have him projected for 15 and a half minutes, so that's not great. Kind of just hoping he plays a little bit more than that.
100%. I like that call a lot.
I saw a question about... so the next game is the Pistons and the Bucks. Ivy, what are his expected minutes and usage? So let's refresh the model real quick. We talked about Ivy a little bit at the beginning of the stream. We have him projected for 17 and a half minutes. I imagine. You think he's coming off the bench?
Ooh, I mean, potentially with 17 minutes, I kind of lean that, yes. I guess he could start and play like his normal rotation, but I think he
Mhm.
probably does come off the bench.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting one. If he's starting, his ownership probably comes up. We're going to be a little bit more interested. If he's coming off the bench, maybe that just keeps his ownership low.
Yeah.
Might be better if he's coming off the bench because then he's not sharing the court with Cade, Asar, Tobias as much. Like he'll still be on the court with them, but Danius Jenkins has been playing really well. Like I think it makes sense to just let him keep starting, let Jaden come off the bench. Don't really disrupt the team chemistry unless they like Danis coming off the bench to help the bench unit because Jaden Ivey kind of sucks this year. I don't know. Hopefully we get word from the coach on some kind of minutes limit. If we don't, I'm just going to proceed like I am right now. I'm over this 5%. I don't think he comes in 5%, though. I think he comes in higher.
Yeah, I agree. He probably comes in higher, and I agree with that. If he's starting, I would feel a lot better.
Cade or Giddy for cash. For cash, if you're using the model, like the best way to do it is just sort by ownership, I think. And Josh Giddey's pulling a lot more ownership than Cade, so he's going to be the answer for that one.
Giddy for sure.
Who would Dyson be guarding? So that's the thing. Like, there's no player on the Pelicans that requires. So here's the thing. I've talked about this on the last stream too. Dyson Daniels is elite at playing passing lanes. He is only slightly above average at man to man defense. He is not locked down like Lou Dort. He is not a player that we're adjusting anything for in our projections for New Orleans players, right? Like I think I hate to put you on the spot here, but yesterday you said something about Anthony Edwards has to see Dylan Brooks defense, and then like Dylan Brooks wasn't even guarding Anthony Edwards. It was like a lot. It was everyone basically, and Anthony Edwards went off. So I do not care about who's guarding who. I'm never going to adjust anything. Maybe Lou Dort on James Harden is like the one matchup where it's the best man-to-man defender in the NBA versus one of the biggest ISO players in the NBA.
No, that's completely fair. Yeah.
Sorry, Ant scored like 20 points in a row in the third quarter. It was just ridiculous. Every shot went in, and then they somehow blew the end of the game. Let me jump back to Chicago real quick. Someone asked about Jalen Smith. Yeah, he was showing up as a pretty strong value. This is a guy that just pops up in my exposures every day. He fits in, helps lineups work. It's just a question of giving up the center spot for him. So on FanDuel, I'm not really going to get there. But on DraftKings, he was showing up for me. I think he's fine.
Yeah, I usually don't love putting in backup centers, but he's a great producer and a good spot, so I don't hate it.
Damn, we really messed up the injury report. They're telling us Kobe White wasn't even on it either.
I thought I saw something, but maybe not. That was on me.
Porzingis is a bust. I mean, he usually is. His ownership, he's up to 48% on FanDuel, dude. It's so uncomfortable to fade Porzingis in a spot like this when he's 6,600. Like, the model says he's good value, and he could easily just break the slate, right? He could easily kill your lineups, too. I'd say be careful. Not a player I'm interested in, like, getting way over the field on. If you want to match the field, it's probably for the best.
The one thing I will add there, without Onyeka, we should see additional rebounds for Kristaps, and I think that's probably why he's more chalky as well.
In CW, did we talk about Whitmore? No, we didn't mention him. The model's not really identifying him as anything special today. Projected for 19 minutes. These value scores are very poor. Like, let's say you're at home and you think he plays 19. Say you think he plays like I'm trying to think how to explain this. Sorry. It's like whatever increase in minutes you give him by percentage, just increase those value numbers. And I don't think you could give him enough minutes to where these value numbers are in line with even the other players on his own team. And so he's projected for 9% on DraftKings. He's 3,600. We know that he has the ability to go off. He hasn't really shown it this year. If he shows up a few percent for you, I think it's fine. I think I had like 2 or 3% in my 100 max set over on DK. So it's probably not the worst, but the model's telling us we don't really have to consider him.
Yeah, I kind of lean with the model there as well.
Yeah, Jaden Ivey being just a point guard. I mean, it's better than a lot of the other weird position stuff I've seen him do. Who starts for Aaron Gordon? Peyton Watson. Let's go. What were we on? Were we done with the Pistons?
We were just about to cover, I think, Cade, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think Cade is great as a pivot to Giddy. I will say it is a very good spot for guards here. So I don't hate the pivot if you think this game stays closer. But yeah, I think he looks great at top as a pivot. And then in terms of the rest of the team here, we already touched on Ivy, Jalen Duren. I don't love the spot, but I don't know, it's a decent total. I think my main play would probably be Cade here, and then obviously Ivy in tournaments.
What I'll mention is the model's telling us Jalen Duren's a pretty good play at his price. This is pretty good value numbers. I mean, it's higher than all the other guys that are cheaper than him. So, and the 11.6 OF index is pretty strong too. At sub 10% ownership, it's a guy that has a 50 plus point ceiling, and we already kind of went over that there's not really good payups at center, especially on DraftKings. We don't even have Jokic there. So Duren is a player that I'm 4x the field. I have 27% on DK right now. I feel pretty comfortable with it. And so I just mentioned that we're playing Giddey over Cade in cash. But if you look at the model, Giddey's only ahead of Cade, like barely, right? But we're getting Cade at maybe a third of the ownership on DraftKings, half the ownership on FanDuel. Yeah, he's a little bit more expensive, but I think this is fine to get to Cade as a pivot off of Giddey. Or if you can figure it out how to play both of them in the same lineup, that's probably going to be a pretty uncommon build too.
Yeah, I love that shot. Yeah, Cade definitely the GPP play for sure.
Going to Milwaukee, shout out to Nick for putting Ryan Rollins in our core. Last time he was on the slate, he ended up getting there. Even without the overtime, he would have been there too. But model loves him today. Strong value numbers, even at the this has to be his all-time highest price. I think this went up a couple hundred from last time. Double-digit OF index. There's no Giannis today. These seem like pretty okay percentages to get to. You could consider Ryan Rollins as kind of a pivot off of or maybe not a pivot off Giddey, but you could play them both in the same lineup. What do you think?
Yeah, love Rollins. Pivot off of Giddey, just a great play. I mean, he's been very good without Giannis. Not too concerned about the matchup here either. So yeah, I love getting back here to Rollins.
Bobby Portis started last game, and he came out crushing. I feel like he played almost the entire first half, and then he did not start the second half. Ended up not getting there fantasy-wise. Models telling us he's whatever today. Not on FanDuel, maybe he's a little more playable at that 5,600. I think we're gonna have interest there. But what do you want to do with Bobby Portis on both sites?
Yeah, didn't want to hear your take here, but I think he's fine at his ownership, so I'm not going too crazy overweight or underweight. I think I'm probably just going to try to match the fields here.
Yeah, I mean, my lean would be towards being underweight on Bobby Portis. We know he's a guy that has that ceiling, but the coaching staff is just not giving him the opportunity to reach it, right? Like last game, he played almost the whole first half. He was crushing, well on his way to being one of the top plays at low ownership, and he just did nothing in the second half. And so he's shown us that he has a potential to still do it. He can still get hot, but it's like this is Ryan Rollins' team today. I even didn't really get there that much on a FanDuel. I'm under the 17%. But he's a guy, if you're making a bunch of lineups, I think you definitely want to make sure he's in there because I think we're still hoping that he has some kind of ceiling, at least on FanDuel at 5,600.
Yeah, for sure. Did you have any interest in anyone else in Milwaukee here?
I mean, Kuzma is just a permanent ban for me.
He's on the ban list.
Dude, we play him every day except the day he drops 60 or whatever. Cool.
Yeah.
Like Gary Trent on FanDuel, I don't mind mixing in at 4,100. Cole Anthony, I think is a fine pivot at 45 and 4,900. He blows up once in a while. He could have the opportunity off the bench. Maybe Ryan Rollins is playing poorly and Cole Anthony just gets a few more minutes. And then Miles Turner is just kind of a high risk pivot if you get there a few percent.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, Cole Anthony, I like that call as a pivot off of some Rollins, but yeah, not that much I love down here for value.
CW, is Portis just old now? I mean, yeah, it's reasonable to expect these guys to lose some athleticism as they get older, but I don't feel like Portis's game was super reliant on athleticism. I think what Doc Rivers and Darvin Ham just hate this guy for some reason. Like he should have been now Ryan Rollins is their best player, but he should be their second best player while Giannis is out right now, and they're just not letting him do it.
Yeah, 100% should be the second best player.
Fake doctor in Milwaukee. Yeah, that guy tricked us for a few years. I used to think he was top 5 coach, Doc Rivers. Now I don't. Something about Washington. CW mentioned because Middleton was out. Yeah, Middleton's been out a bunch though, and we haven't really seen Cam Whitmore, assume any larger of a role. It kind of seems like they're just mixing all these guys up, and I mean they have an interest in Bilal playing bigger minutes. He's going to be ramped up a little bit more as the season goes on, but they haven't shown us anything to make us think that Cam Whitmore is part of their plans.
Yeah, it's just too deep of a rotation, like you mentioned. They run so many guys.
You haven't played Kuzma in 2 years. You've saved some money, my friend.
Not like me.
Yeah, not like me, dude. Duncan Robinson or Ivy for value. They're kind of in different price tiers, right? Because I don't think we're really considering Ivy on FanDuel at all. 5,300 for what minutes he could play is just not worth the risk. And over on DraftKings, it's a different price tier. I don't know. I'm not really interested in Duncan Robinson at 5K, so I'll just say Jaden Ivey. Do you have a different answer?
I'd also say Jaden Ivey. Yeah, I'm with you.
He's not one of my favorite value plays, though. He's just interesting because he's min price and he probably comes in at like 10% ownership. Sixer fans could have told you he was a quack. Who was that? Oh, Doc Rivers. Yeah, man. Yeah. Going down to Kispert as a flyer. I know we keep jumping back, but yeah, I am always down to get a few percent of Corey Kispert because he's never owned. He's 3,300, 3,700, and he's actually done pretty well. Let me show you. Like 17, like these scores. Okay, he hasn't been doing well. Never mind. But he could get over 20. He's like 1% owned, super min priced. I think he's fine if you're building a bunch of lineups to mix in every day. And do we have fears over Anthony? Yes. All right, Jayhawk, tell me about the Mavericks today.
Yeah, so Mavericks on a back-to-back here. We did see, I believe, D'Lo sit last night. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, because we got Brandon Williams all the minutes, and he only scored 5 points.
Yeah, so D'Lo, once again, I believe is questionable with an illness. If he doesn't play, Brandon Williams, we'd have to go back there in tournaments once again. He's been shooting very poor, but he does have that ceiling. So would be fine with B-Will here if Russell sits. And then in terms of the rest of the team, PJ Washington, Cooper Flag, I'd be fine with PJ. I think he looks great, both sides. And then Cooper Flag, I don't know if I'm going to like jam him. It's a good matchup, but we mentioned we like Cade, Rollins, Giddy up top. It might be getting to those guys instead of getting to Flag for me. How about you? How are you going to handle these Dallas Mavericks?
Yeah, it looks like I'm over the field on this 13% on Flag on DraftKings by a couple percent, so I don't mind that. If we get D'Angelo ruled out, I am going to bump PJ a couple more. I'm getting there. Brandon Williams, yeah, that's my guy. The minutes were there. He just didn't score real points. If he ends up doing that, the interesting thing about him, I know he's a little more expensive than Fears, but a lot of the field is already going to have their point guard spots taken up by Josh Giddey, Fears. Fears is point guard, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Josh Giddey, Fears, Cade Cunningham, and we might not get that Mavericks news until all the other games on the DraftKings slate lock. So that's just an interesting player to keep in mind that he's like almost guaranteed to come in low owned. He's going to be a lot better if D'Angelo's ruled out, but if we get that news, I think that's like the late swap guy to target today, and PJ too.
100% agree. And if he even starts making 50% of his shots, he's going to put up way better scores as well.
And I have like mild interest in Daniel Gafford, like not a ton, but we do have him projected for 25 minutes, and Derek Lively is out, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So Gafford, kind of getting forgotten on this slate, but he's shown us the ceiling. He's done some stuff a few times. I think he's fine to take a flyer on at his ownership.
Yeah, for sure. Pretty good price too. I think. Yeah, I'd be fine taking a flyer there.
Let's take a look at Memphis. Let's make sure I got this one right here. We got a lot going on in Memphis today. No Ja, no Jaren. Well, Jaren's doubtful, but he's probably not playing. So we're looking at Santi Aldama and Vince Williams again. The prices came up a little bit, so they're not going to be mega jams like they were last time. But how are you handling these two?
Yeah, so I think they both look great. Santi's the preferred play for me for their prices. Just love that price point. So yeah, I do like Santi, and then Vince Williams I think is fine, but coming up to 6K now, I think his ceiling is a little bit capped for me at that price. So mainly Aldama here. What's your take here with this?
Yeah, I think it is Aldama over Vince Williams. Model slightly agrees on DraftKings, and it definitely agrees over on FanDuel at this price difference. Aldama looks great. I always say it. Hate him usually when Jaren Jackson is playing, but when Jaren Jackson's out, especially when Jaw's out too, this is kind of Santi's team today. So love him. Getting to Vince Williams a little bit, I'm still debating if I want to bump him and try to get to more because there's just a lot of good point guard plays on the slate, but like this ownership doesn't seem too bad, right? The minutes have been there. He's been pretty productive. He fills up the stat sheet, so I think he's fine to get to.
Yeah, and then did you like Cedric Howard? I was kind of debating what I want to do with him.
Dude, I don't because he's on a I mean maybe they'll give us word that he's not on it, but he's like on a soft minutes limit too. I don't think he can play 30 minutes. Yeah. 25, 26. He's been awesome in those minutes, but it just we really need the potential to get that 40-point fantasy game, especially since he's chalk. Like if he puts up 30 fantasy points today at 39%, that's not going to win a tournament. And so I'm actually a little interested in getting away from Cedric Howard today.
Yeah, agreed. And you probably need like 35 to win a tournament with him. And we're just not seeing that.
Like I don't want to say you need this just because if he puts up 30 and it's in the right lineup, it can still win. But it's just when the field is so heavy on a guy like this that whose ceiling is capped. I just think it's clearly a spot that we can kind of get away from. I will mention it's harder to get away from on FanDuel. On DraftKings, I'm sitting at about half the field. On FanDuel, I'm not too far under this 39, so maybe I need to boost someone else to make it happen. But I guess I kind of get why he's coming in at 39% because the 5,800 price at shooting guard small forward helps build lineups.
And Zach Edey, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you about Zach Edey.
Oh, perfect. I was about to ask you the same thing. So yeah, Zach Edey here, 6K flat, 15-12%. I don't know. I don't love the price, but we have seen him flash a big ceiling. So I'm just trying to match the field. I think he could burn me if I don't. So I'm just trying to get there. How about you?
Dude, I was so high on Zach Edey on that last slate that we had because we had Santi, and I think we talked about it on stream a little bit too. That there's just so many good center plays, but we want to mix in Edey, and he ended up losing playing time to that blowout run. But he was on his way to smashing if he got that final rotation. At only 14 and 13% ownership, I think this price is fine for him. He seems like he's good to go. I know he missed a few games, but we have him projected for 26. It's a tight spread. I really like Zach Edey as a tournament play today.
Agreed. I think he's probably pretty sharp at that price.
I'll mention Jock Landale too. Me and Nick were kind of down on him last time, but I mean, around 4K, he's probably always going to be fine if he ends up in a few of your lineups if you're using an optimizer at 2 and 1% ownership. We got so that's the end of the DraftKings slate. Let's go ahead and build out a quick DraftKings dummy, and then we'll knock out that last FanDuel game real quick. So did we want to throw Queen and Fears in here to start?
Yeah, probably Queen and Fears. The safest plays, I think. I don't want to say safe, but the best plays.
Let's see, Fears. And then Santi Aldama.
Santi, and then I was going to say one of Jalen or Giddy.
Okay, let's try Jalen since he's the top play on the model. Leaves us 58.75. I wanted to see if we could do something really cool where we kind of get to Cade over Giddy. Leaves us 4,300 per position. Were there a couple sick value plays you really liked?
Could make this work. I think Sadiq Bey is going to look a lot better without Herb Jones. Should we throw him in there? I guess he's pretty chalky.
Yeah, at 4,500, he's gonna. I mentioned earlier I'm kind of bearish on him, but he's probably going to start, and he's probably going to end up in a ton of my lineups. So yeah, it seems fine. I have Justin Champagne actually showing up at 3,100. This is super high risk though. I'm going to run with it, I guess, though. It leaves us 5,300 for the utility, which would let us get to I don't know, Desunmu, I guess. Bilal Coulibaly.
I think Desunmu without Giddy makes a bunch of sense, right? And then
I like that.
We got Patrick Williams also rolled out, and then Dalen Terry and Okoro also out.
Okay. And then Trey Jones is on a minutes limit. So let's run this with Josh Giddey, since that's like the preferred option. Like we could fit Giddey and Johnson in here with all these chalk guys. I don't think Champagne's chalk, but leaves us 6,300 for utility. Our boy Keyshawn George, let's go, dude.
Let's go.
This is not a bad one.
It's a really good one, yeah.
So what's the core? What's the core here, Jayhawk? Is Bay gonna end up being in the core if he starts?
I don't know if I put him core, but he'd be like the top third value play. So we can leave him in there, I guess.
Yeah, I guess these are the top plays, right?
Yeah.
Fear, Bay, Aldama, Queen, Giddey, Johnson. I'll mention, I guess, I don't know. It's kind of awkward to say I'd fade Fears and play Bay. Maybe if you want to fade one of these Pelicans guys and then maybe fade one of these payups, you could get pivots in there. But this is a pretty, especially for small field stuff, this is a pretty strong start.
I was gonna mention you could also go to Rollins at point guard if you didn't like Giddy or
Oh,
Kate.
yeah, let's try that. Ryan Rollins worked out when we put him in the court last time. 56-50. What other shooting guards do we like?
Let's sort it here.
Tried Desunmu.
The same way I was supposed to say that.
Yeah, put in Desunmu. He should start. Is he going to start?
He should, yeah. No minutes limit for him either. So
nice. Rounded out with Zach Edey, kind of a not too high tournament play. Seems fine.
I like it.
Let's see. And Hoarder is still a game time decision. Kobe has a minutes limit. Jock Landale or Jalen Smith?
I think it'd probably be Smith for me now with all these guys out, but
okay, let's see what the model's telling us for value centers. Landale over Smith, but just barely.
it's pretty close, yeah.
Let's knock out this last FanDuel game real quick. Nuggets and Kings. Let's take a look at the Kings. I've been talking about they're the worst team in the NBA. I don't think anyone could possibly disagree. But they do have talent. They just are garbage. Russell Westbrook's pretty much the only player I've been playing from this team recently, but his price is at a point where it's really tough to get to. Did you get exposure to anyone here?
I think Russ is fine to get to, like you mentioned, 7,400. But yeah, I mean, DeMar and Levine, they're just very tough to get to in this spot. So yeah, I'd probably say Russ is probably the favorite here.
Yeah, like 1% Zach LaVine, 6% Russ, 4% Schroeder, 1% Malik Monk, 4% Keegan Murray, 11% DeMar DeRozan. That's kind of interesting. And the model is telling us he's the best value play on this team on FanDuel at only 8% ownership. Maybe that's a spot we could get to. Only 6,400 seems pretty good.
Yeah, I think he's fine. Pretty good price over on FanDuel for sure.
Should we use Ryan Rollins for cash? What's his ownership?
I think you probably can.
He's projected for 24 and 29. Yeah, that seems fine to me. Yeah, Jayhawk agrees too. So Occupy approved. I did see another question up here I wanted to answer, but top 3 core for DK. That's what I wanted to say. The top 3 core has got to be Queen, Aldama.
Yeah.
What do you think is the third? Is it Fears? I'm kind of nervous on him, but
yeah, I'd say Fears or maybe Johnson, but Johnson, I guess you could get weird other spots. So probably Fears, yeah.
Queen, Aldama, Ryan Rollins, maybe.
Could be stuff.
And then anything else you wanted to mention on Sacramento?
No, you covered it. That's sure.
I will say if you're playing the single game on DraftKings or even on FanDuel, I guess, Drew Eubanks is probably going to be a value guy that's showing up. They've been starting Precious. You could take shots on Monk in the single game too, and then maybe check the ownership later on Keegan Murray. He could be interesting there too. Last game of the night, Denver. No Aaron Gordon. We got Jokic as the very, very top play on the model. Also great value on FanDuel, even at this 12.7 price. He's projected for 40% ownership. I'm playing a ton. Looks like Jamal's projected for a ton. Peyton Watson, I imagine I'm going to end up with a ton of him too. What do you want to do with Denver?
Yeah, I love Denver here. Fantastic spot. I'd be cool with honestly getting overweight in all 3. Jokic obviously looks phenomenal. Love getting overweight there. And then P. Watt's actually kind of my second favorite here without AG. He had a huge game a couple nights ago. I think he looks great here once again. And then what's your take on Jamal? Because, the price is pretty good, but we have a bunch of great card plays today.
I have like exactly 30% on FanDuel right now, so I'm probably going to go up or down a couple percent, but I'm like right around the field. I actually might bump him though, so maybe I'm going to end up over on him. I'm going to be pretty heavy on Jokic, Peyton Watson, and Jamal from this team.
Any love for Cam Johnson at 13%?
Dude, he's a dude. When I put in my stuff for him, he shows up in my lineups, and I manually took him down because I don't like it. Like, it's probably not great to do stuff like that. The model's telling us he's a fine value for the price. He's been playing awful. We know he's not this bad, right? So we can take shots at 4,600, and in the single game showdown, we can take shots too.
Yeah, I think he's nursing some kind of like shoulder injury, so I'm a little bit hesitant with him right now.
Dude, he's just been so bad, and it's like playing with Jokic is supposed to make you better. So Kevin Werder is in, and then the Pelicans are starting Fears, Micah Peavy, Trey Murphy, Sadiq Bey, and Derek Queen. So Sadiq Bey starting is probably going to be one of the top value plays on the slate now. I'm probably going to get to a ton of him. You agree?
Yeah, I love that here, especially starting.
Nice. Well, appreciate everybody tuning in. I'm going to get into Discord. Probably going to start in a couple of minutes. Instructions to join that are in the description below. Make sure you check out the new lineup builder. It's live on the site. We got a pretty cool NFL slate coming up tomorrow. Jayhawk, was there anything you wanted to mention?
No, good luck tonight, and let's go Sadiq Bey, I guess, now.
Yeah.